in attendance. Oh, Trevor's here. Hi,
Yeah, I'm here.
Trevor. Not seeing Kevin or Mel just yet, but um, I wanted you to guys give a short introduction. These are new members to AI SIG. Like literally a couple sentences: who you are, what are your interests, what are your expectations from this initiative.
Shall I go first?
Sure, you're the only one so far, so.
Okay, so my name's Trevor Hebditch. I'm the Associate Director of Enterprise Architecture. I'm also presumptive Chief Administrative Officer for AI for the County of Salt Lake. So I'm running the AI initiative, which we're calling Responsible AI for All. So introducing AI into the county offices and democratizing it for all the employees.
So do you work with Governor and Zach?
Zach Posen actually works for the city now.
Okay,
Tony Jolly is the new CIO at the county, so I work for
gotcha,
Tony.
gotcha. Okay, let me quickly check again. Do we have Kevin and Mel? Well, neither of them just yet. We are not going to wait any longer. Also, quick announcement. Next Friday, is it next Friday? The Friday after, on June 19th, we have another great speaker, which is Bennett Borden. And I just can't get rid of this feeling, Guy, how much you two look alike.
With who?
With Bennett Borden.
Dennis Burden. Oh,
Let me share the screen real quick. I have the
you found my doppelganger?
no.
There's something your family
So
hasn't told you, Guy.
like take a look. Like, is
Oh my
this
goodness.
does this person look like Guy? I mean,
No, not at all.
quite oh come on.
Nice swap of the glasses there, Guy.
You never know Superman. Take the glasses off.
Okay,
Yeah,
enough of
it does
Bennett.
scare them.
So he's our next speaker. Where did it go? Yeah, he's a lawyer and a data scientist, and generally working a lot in the area of AI ethics, and anything edge AI. And he's with New York University graduate and Stern School of Business. So he's like has quite a remarkable resume, and it would be very interesting to hear what he has
Yeah,
to
he came and
share.
talked to the general membership, I think, around a year ago, and he was really good. He was one of the better
Hmm.
speakers I've seen in a long time. I was really impressed. You don't
So
want to
he's
miss that one. He was really, really good. I would, nice job, Neil, bringing him to the general meeting. It was really well done.
Thank you. And his topic will be AI clarity for executive leaders from hype to execution. So whatever the content brings us, if you're curious, don't miss the meeting. And then we'll have a break in July and resume in August. And we'll send additional announcements on our August speaker, also a very good guy. So next we have Guy Harding today. He's going to demo Accelerated Expert Framework with us. We expect it to run about 25 minutes or so. Then we'll have a Q&A after the demo. And then is Dave here?
I'm here.
Dave Sewell?
Yep.
I'm here.
Yes. So Dave also has an announcement to do. Let's go with the demo first, and Dave, you'll go next after Q&A, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
And then another small topic I'd like to not miss if we have time left is to kind of pick your brains on where we're heading as a group. What are your expectations? Are we meeting expectations? What would you be excited to see the group do or hear through this meeting? So kind of like just have a nice friendly discussion on that topic. Guy, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Everybody hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So great. Thank you for letting me talk about something I'm kind of passionate about. So you get me going, will take more than 30 minutes, but I'll try to keep it shorter. So this is an idea that kind of came out of a discussion I had with Neil. What was it, Neil? A couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we were talking about how, well, enterprise specifically, it was kind of, we called it the ERP killer. And I've kind of taken that idea that we can build enterprise worthy software and generalized it to any expert framework. And so that's why I call it the accelerated expert framework. The idea is that every organization has expert workflows and processes where it require real domain knowledge and expertise, and they aren't tasks that you hand off and hope for the best, right? You need real expertise in there. AI agents are powerful enough to help them, the experts, do this work. But most of those deployments have zero governance, and nobody knows what the agent did or how it decided or whether the output meets the expert standard. And sometimes even the expert gets cut out of the loop entirely. So then that expertise isn't brought to bear on the problem. So the AEF, we take a different approach where the expert stays in charge. The experts define the quality rubrics and set the pass and fail thresholds. And the framework enforces human oversight at specific steps. And so the framework does the heavy lifting and the expert makes the calls, if that makes sense. Mostly I'm scratching an itch that I have, but also I'm hoping that this resonates with others as well and is something that people can leverage and use. So here's my web interface. I've been developing this almost entirely from a command line interface, and just recently started putting a web interface on so I could share it in settings like this and not have everybody kind of gloss over their eyes with all the text on my screen. So here we have a workflows view, and there are four workflows that I've defined. Let's just look at the SDLC full iteration. This is the one that I've worked on the most. And this is, the demo gods are loving me right now. Let's see. Let me reload that. Okay, sign in. There are my workflows. There it came in. So you can see the workflow definitions, kind of an overview, and then the YAML. This is where the actual workflow is defined. And if you can see that there's different steps and there are criteria to passing those steps. And we'll take a closer look at these when we look at the runs and the gates as well. The various triggers, I've mostly been using the manual trigger for this workflow because it's like I set up a sprint, I get a brief, and then I say go. And 8 hours later, it comes back with working code. And I'm like, yay. So, and this is, I kind of purposely designed it to be about a sprint level. So what would normally take your team a couple of weeks, this generally does in about 8 hours. And it's not perfect yet, but it gets me 80, 90% of the way there at this point. So I mentioned I've been running this on my, just from the CLI. So I imported some of the runs from my file system into this system. And you can see, like, this is sprint 1, auth and app shell. We have the different steps down here on the left, and then the score. This is the adversarial agent score using the rubric. It comes in and says, oh, how well did this do? And 92% is passing. Each of these steps, you can define what the passing requirement is, and then it passes on. And if it needs rework, then it comes back in and redoes it if it kicks it back. See what else is, and then you can see down here, I've got my SDLC is fairly robust, I believe. And it was really interesting to me to see as I started running this, how these measurements and SBC and cause analysis and retrospective, they fed back into the next sprints and everything, and started to make the sprint process better, the prompts going in better and things like that. So it was kind of cool to see that happening as I went through it. Let's see what else is there to show here. Got the gates. These are, so each step has a gate to verify through. So we can come in and see that, like, requirements elaboration has up to 2 attempts, and if it doesn't succeed on the second attempt, it'll just kick it out to human in the loop. Or if you want to always say, look at the technical design before it goes into other, like, implementation planning, you can click a mandatory human in the loop, and it will wait for you to come in and approve it and move forward. Yeah, I think these are, just kind of see the spread out there. Then integrations are different ways that you can integrate. This isn't fully fleshed out, but you can see inputs and outputs. This is where you'd have, if you have a queuing system that you want to pull work off of to feed into your workflow, you can do that, or you can output it into another queuing system or whatever type of system that you want there. But for me, this is like, here we've got, the requirements personas, all the different things you'd think about in software development for this kind of outputs, and goes back into Git and automatically just gets put out into your Git system and stuff like that. So see, is there anything else? And feel free to ask questions as we go. If something raises a concern or question, I'm looking for feedback. And yeah. Okay,
Actually, I do have one question. I'll be interested when you get to the integrations, whether you're working with the the co-work, what do they call it, co-work work IQ, or the Claude compliance API to actually automate some of the workflow input into this.
I haven't been working with either of those specifically. I've been working mostly with Claude Code and the Claude API.
Okay.
But yeah, those
with the Claude compliance API, you can actually document your own workflows completely, and then feed it into something like this would really help to optimize it.
Okay, yeah. So Claude compliance will kick out a workflow spec, and then you could bring it into here and it would execute it. Is that kind of
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's designed to actually help. And the same thing with the Copilot. It allows you to actually, the work IQ, which also I think needs Viva, but the work IQ allows you to really identify workflows at the desktop level, and then you'll be able to kick them into here and really optimize them.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Like, I've seen several workflow tools out there, and there's enough of them that I haven't gone through a lot of them and said, oh, is this applicable? Does it overlap or anything like that? But anything that produces a workflow, we can feed into here, and it can execute it with the governance and the metrics around it. It just automatically wants those and demands that you have measures at each gate and everything like that. So,
yep.
All right, I wanted to show you building a workflow. So you might have noticed up here before it goes into there, one of the workflows is this workflow development lifecycle. It's a meta workflow for helping you create a workflow. So, and another interesting thing I didn't point out, like this SDCLC full iteration is what I'm using to build it. So I'm dog fooding this application right now. So I run AEF on with the next sprint and the requirements for AEF, and that takes us to the next level and next level. So it's kind of, I know, I'm proud that we're dog fooding it. All right, let's look at an expert chat, and we're gonna build a simple workflow here. So this is Very, it's your AI workflow design assistant. This is the business that I'm standing up for. This is called Very AI. And so our persona is Very, and she's very, it sounds like a feminine name, so it's a she for for me, and she's very helpful. And so what business process would you like to automate? And I'm going to copy a prompt that I have over here. And so every day we get a stack of scanned email, invoices, contracts, junk mail, legal notices, etc. So we're going to make this a company that digitizes all their mail and then currently manually sends it out. Actually, this is my company. I don't digitize it, but I have a stack of mail and documents that I want this to work on. So I'm going to hopefully use this workflow in a minute. But all right, so going to ask us a few questions. Can you guys read that okay? Or do I need to make it a little bigger? There we go.
Much better.
All right. Cool. So then it's going to ask a bunch of questions. I'm going to just say, I'm going to copy a bunch of these answers in there, and it's in the interest of time, but you can go through the full interview. I'm going to just try to answer a lot of the questions up front. So mail types, invoices, departments, where it's going, the data to extract from it, urgency, and the threshold. Okay. Okay, I'm curious about the human oversight piece. Step in to review a document before it gets routed. So 85%. I think I'm just going to say no. I think that's a good 85% is sufficient. And so yeah, this would be the expert doing this, like saying, okay, this is setting this up, and I'm just going to tell it that's everything. Build the workflow. And it should go off and build it. So this is a 10-step workflow. And let's see, okay, well, I just connected this up today and it didn't quite connect because it says it's done, but it has a process discovery it's running. So it's not, I'm missing a connection on the back end to bring that in. And then it kicked me back in to do a new one here. So anyway, so I did this with another, from the CLI, so it looks different, but a little different, but I came in and what it would get in the end is something that looks like this, the daily mail triage. You have the YAML again, and this one only has 4 steps. So we can actually see it better here if you look at the gates. So document classification, data extraction, urgency assessment, and document routing. And similar to the other one that you look at, there's a confidence gate and a rubric pass gate. There are document rubrics in this case. Sometimes if you want to, you can embed the rubrics into the YAML, or you can have separate documents if you want to have that versioned and everything differently. So, and then looking at the runs, let me see. You can see this one is a little bit of a different layout because we only have 4 steps, so you can put them all in the table like this rather than in the vertical layout like the SDLC. And it brings in the documents. You can see, so this is the text version of the document that extracted from the PDF, but you could have the PDF there too if you wanted to. And then it talks about yeah, the type is an invoice. It's 97% scored that it classified it right, extracted the data. You can click in here and see what the rubric breakdown is. So you can kind of just see why AI said it's this, why it's very confident that this is an invoice, and that it grabbed this is the invoice rubric here, the classification rubric, and then what it extracted, and then it's 98% sure that it is routing it to the right place. Document 2 here is interesting because it did not score high enough on the routing confidence, so it got reviewed by human in the loop. And the reason it didn't score, thresholds was not there, CC list was not complete. There are a few other things there. So it said it needs more to know, because this is a legal notice. And if you're the human in the loop, you might come in and just say, oh, let's take a look at that. Why is it not sure what to do? And looks at it and says, oh, this is actually a very a demand letter, basically. So it has to get to certain people quickly, and the AI just wasn't confident that it would get there. And this is a made-up document, by the way. This is not a demand letter served to very AI. But and then, yeah, if it's marketing or junk, it just skips the rest and says, okay, we're done. Another thing you can see here is the event log. So every event gets logged on the event bus. Every communication between components gets logged to the event bus, and then it gets picked up and work done on it for those components that are subscribing to it. But these are the events that were emitted in processing these documents. See, click on a couple of these, see if there's anything interesting to talk about there. Right now, most of the artifacts are written documents, and so there's a narrative. You can look at it and kind of get a sense of what is going on. We can also store them in databases and have, well, the measurements and whatnot are going to be in database form as well, so you can come in and run analysis on them. And ultimately, like, the next level of this is to be able to create predictive models from all this data that you're generating, clean data, and then a few iterations of doing this, you can start to predict outcomes based on the data that you're collecting, and see sensitivities to different variables and things like that. Okay, let's see, is there anything else? In terms of governance, let me go back to the SDLC, because that's a couple of things here. There's governance and there's capability. So you'll see here that we have the sprint that's defined in the SDLC, but there's this sub workflow called the TDD cycle, so test-driven development. So you can have sub workflows and nested workflows, and they can all kind of work together to get to one big outcome. This is one very common place. So each feature that needs to be implemented, we've instructed it to write a test, make the test pass, and it has a plan it creates in there to how's it going to implement this feature. So write a test, pass it, write a test, pass it, and then work down through all the different features that way. So this TDD, you've noticed, is actually a separate workflow here. And I don't remember, I haven't imported the runs from it. You can see the runs in the other one, but you can see the runs here for the TDD. And you can see they're, completed and how many reworks it had to do, whatnot. SPC metrics, so statistical process control. It's interesting for people who are into that, but you can come in and see all the kind of typical metrics you'd see in a process control, and different issues that are raised. And these ones are from actual runs that I did. The first sprint that I ran this on AEF on AEF. So. Okay, so I don't have it in here, but I have another workflow that I used just the other day to create a proposal. It took several hours of running and came back with a fully working, it was a proposal for fractional CTO gig that I'm looking at. And so anyway, but it required quite a bit. They had quite a bit of nuance in their organization and lots of acquisitions and different things. So it was a fairly significant proposal that came back and fully cited all the sources, and I was able to go through and verify all the data and make sure that it was good, and submitted it. So there's lots of versatility, and as long as you can define your workflows and know kind of where you want your experts to sit, or even if you don't, you can use that HIL button to come in and say, oh, let me be in the loop at all these steps at the first, and then as you train the AI and get confidence in it, you can take yourself out of that loop and just be more strategic about where you insert yourself. Yeah, so I want to leave time for questions. I'm about 20 minutes, and I know we want time for questions, and I kind of also want to get your feedback on it. I know there are lots of tools like trying to be like this or doing things like this out there. And I want to know what, in your experience, you've found to be helpful, if something like this would be helpful. And then my other ask is I'm looking for people to build it with me, either as a beta partner, if you have a workflow that would be interesting to work on with me, I'd love to do that. Or if you're somebody who would like to jump in and help me build out the framework and finish it out, there's a lot of work still to do, as you can see. So, and that's it.
So, Guy, I didn't catch, maybe I missed it. What is the criteria to hand over from one step in the workflow to the next one? Is the completion of the previous one a prerequisite, or how does it determine, okay, I can move on to the next one?
Yeah. So for example, here in this, well, maybe the gates would be a better starting place here. So requirements elaboration in the SDLC, it does not move on to sprint planning until it achieves a score of 85%
Okay.
on the rubric. So this rubric's defined in the actual YAML. So we can look in here and see what quality is needed here. So this is the requirements elaboration step right there. And
Before I go on, are there any questions about this?
Quality criteria. So it has to meet these criteria.
And if your software has like different modules that are being developed in parallel, is it going to handle it? Is it require like workflow for each of the modules, or how they're going to interact, or is it too complicated?
No, and I've done that. So AEF has a backend. It has actually three big components. It has the engine itself, and then it has the back end, and it has the front end. And so the way I set that up is I share those three code repos into this. So AEF runs in a container on the back end, and so we share those three repos in there, and then we do some exploration first. So you have to have your context about what each one does, and then it will operate on all three of them. Ideally, you know, if it needs to operate on all three of them at once, then you probably have an architecture problem. You're probably not haven't really componentized and modularized your systems, and it can start to that. I'm actually picking apart a system that just hasn't been updated in years using this, and I've got I'm developing a different workflow because it doesn't quite fit the SDLC exactly. So I'm developing more of an upgrade workflow for that. But yeah, it's a big monolith. It needs to be picked apart. So I'm using kind of the strangler pattern and having it recognize different things and starting to pull pieces and components out of that big monolith. And ultimately I'll have a workflow that I think I'll get it to where I can point it at any monolith and say, let's break this up. And it'll take the strategies that we've encoded in the prompts and go and do that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, in a way. I always come from perspective of like not developing like one single product, but in the environment of a business that generally operates on developing a lot of different software that is interdependent. And oftentimes when you develop a new product, you need to update other products, for this one. Like, so if you need to update some microservices, here and there, and how does it all that development fits in the process with AI?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So the expert then can decide that, right? Because there are a couple of approaches you might take. One is to develop them concurrently, but if you have strong interfaces, you could just say, I'm going to develop this one while maintaining compatibility with that older interface that people are dependent on, and then you can do so. The expert can prompt that. All you can just say, hey, let's do it this approach. The biggest thing that the expert needs in that context is to have a strong architecture model. Like this monolith I'm pulling apart right now is I'm having it incrementally and iteratively swap over to a clean architecture. So it's not it's clean architecture, solid architecture principles. So it's going to be much easier to change. Everything's going to be modularized. All the architecture boundaries are going to be very well documented, very well, not even documented, but established in the code. So you're not going to be able to cross those. But that whenever you're doing a monolith, that you have to pull apart all those sticky interdependencies, and that's just not easy. But it's a lot faster with AI. And AI can recognize those because they can scan the whole code base faster than I can, and they can see those. Oh, this is using this over there, and so it's essentially following the same process I would do. I've done a dozen times, but it's a lot faster.
So is it so understand it? It's essentially the type of thing you would use to automate your brain. You're saying if it's a monolithic system, I would have done these 20 things. Let me build that into this AI workflow. It's not trying to replace some system out there. It's trying to replicate your thought process and your approach to moving from monolithic to a modular system, right?
Yeah, in that use case, yeah.
Okay.
So that's the expert part of it. It's really there to let you kind of capture your expert process workflow and then do as much of it as you're comfortable letting it do. And I've spent a lot of time working on the prompts, even more than I have there's a lot of AI theory that isn't baked into this yet that I think could be. And I've architected it so that I think we can optimize, like if you want to use Claude or OpenAI, there are different strategies and features sets that they have. So I have libraries that can optimally implement the workflow on each of those frame systems if that's what you choose. Like, oh, I want this one on OpenAI, I want this one on a local LLM, I want this one out on Claude. You can do all that, and it will optimize for each experience. And it could be cost, it could be functionality, whatever you want to optimize on that. That's not implemented yet, but it's architected so that we can implement that.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions? Anybody like say, ooh, I would use this on this process at my place.
Yeah, I would use it.
What process would you use it on? Did you have something come to mind?
So many things. Yeah, so many things.
So many
Like
things.
I don't know. I just every time I come to meetings like this and I see you guys tap into leveraging AI, I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I think about the cost associated with running something like this. So I don't know what that would be.
Yeah.
You know, surprise bills are often things that I try to avoid, especially you know when you just don't know how long it's going to run.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, this is very intriguing, very intriguing.
So I do have a story on that, Rob. I calculated, so I'm using on my local system, I've got a Cloud Pro, whatever Max subscription. And so I use a lot of tokens and I'm still, you know, I was just kind of put all this together. So I was using a ton and I had it run the calculation for how many, what the number of tokens would have cost had I done it through the API. And it was like in 2 months, I'd spent 12 grand on tokens if I'd run it through the API. But I looked at the amount of work, and that was probably, I mean, if I was charging that retail rates as a custom software, that would have been a couple $100,000 of work that was done. My team would have taken, you know, 3 to 6 months to do, and I did it in a couple of weeks with $12,000 tokens. As long as that economic carries out, then I think we're winning.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Does it integrate with like Jira, Smartsheet, any?
That's what I need to know now. It's like I need to know what people need it to integrate with, because right now it does GitHub underneath Git and GitHub through the typical things for the SDLC. I'm building a Google Drive integration because that's where I keep all my documents, and so that document classification and routing system. But that's, you know, I want some other people who are like, yeah, if you integrated with this, I could really use this. then we'll look at, you know, what it would take to integrate with that. But
How long does it take to, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because you asked the question, you know, where would you use it in your business? I mean, considering that it's not my business, but the way software development runs in my company, you know, all these steps are part of manual work by our agile team leaders, you know, that actually coordinate development and everything, you know, so that would be probably a useful tool, but we do integrate for you know, with Jira, we use Smartsheet, we use POB for ITIL, you know, I mean, we use lots of moving parts that are currently a manual work. So to answer your question, tell me what you want to integrate with, like everything.
Everything, yeah. Well, I found that doing integrations with this is also, well, it's not quite trivial, but it's fairly trivial. It's not hard, right? Getting integrations in. So, I mean, I'd love to talk about what that would do, and you know, we could see if we could put some of these integrations into either feeds into the workflow, or as outputs, or both. You know, take in Jira tickets, work the tickets. I've been using GitHub issues that way, and it's wonderful. Like I get so many much more complete issue descriptions from Claude than I do from myself. So it like, it'll go through and find the issues for me, log them, and then I say, okay, pull it, let's fix the issues. So it goes out and pulls the issues and creates a sprint and goes. I'm like, go, woohoo. And one of my big things is tests. So I don't know, I've talked to some other developers that have had some challenges using AI to accelerate their systems. And I found that as long as I'm having it kind of do the TDD approach, it tends to do well. Like, it's not perfect. I always end up like pushing something out to production. I end up having to tweak things a little bit here and there, but it's 90% done. So yeah.
So can you tell us what that, if there's a new integration, you said it's relatively simple. Does it take a few hours and 10 prompts, or is it a couple days? Is it?
So I'll give you that. Well, the GitHub was probably trivial because they have their GH terminal thing, and it just did it. So we did a GitHub RESTful API interface for some things that their GitHub, their terminal client doesn't do, or didn't do well. And just pointing it at the RESTful API documents,
Yep.
and telling it to, we need this data, go. And it's not even been a sprint for any of this. It's been a feature in the sprint, basically, is like, we need to integrate with Jira, or it depends on how massive those are. But yeah, that's kind of how I would look at it. And it would be a few hours, and then how you use that data would be the next thing.
So really, what I'm hearing, as long as the API documentation is up to date, then it's pretty seamless, matter of hours to say, here's the documentation, I want to use these functions, go connect. If the documentation is out of date, obviously a whole different problem, but as long as that's up to date, sounds like it just runs, right?
Yeah, pretty
Nice.
much. See, I'm doing the monolith that I'm breaking up is actually an app that we wrote years and years ago, but it's going through several levels of upgrades for the frameworks, and it's a similar question, like how do you know how well does it go through and read the docs and upgrade the frameworks? And so far it's been really good. The big thing that I see there is that it can iterate so much faster. Like you're out there coding this, and you're inevitably you're looking at the docs and something's not right, and then you have to do 3 or 4 iterations till you figure out exactly what that syntax needs to be. Well, AI
Sure.
can do iterations in 5 minutes, where it might take you 2 hours to get through them.
Does it understand COBOL?
I bet you it does. I mean, I've been playing. It's been a while since I played around it, but I like to play around with Lisp, and Lisp is older than COBOL, and so I don't.
Just seems like a great opportunity for AI in these older languages, that you're losing a lot of the knowledge base, but it's self-documenting because it's code.
Yep.
If you're just looking to move it to something else, I haven't heard of anyone really tackling that segment yet, but I can't keep track of all the things out there, obviously.
Yeah.
Hey guys, speaking of COBOL with this, I have a lady on the federal side right now that has a HUD contract that they were trying to use. She's hiring an AI person to migrate a project from COBOL to Python, and wants to hire someone to do it as much as possible with AI. So I mean, yeah, that is definitely a real thing. I'm talking with her on Monday, and I got a call as you were going through this. I didn't see all of this. I'm not positive what I'm looking at, but maybe we find some time and you can review it with me. And if it's something that I should bring up on my call, I will definitely do that on Monday.
The other one, have you looked at IBM's Bob? Because that is actually fantastic for the COBOL, NatFull, VSAM, DB2 analysis and work.
I have not. This just came up.
Okay, so Bob is IBM's AI specifically for the ZOS and COBOL NatFull world. They've based Watson and done it specifically for that whole mainframe environment.
Okay. Interesting.
just out of interest, I'm actually in the process of rewriting a 40-year-old mainframe application for the tax system for the county and putting it into Azure with full DevOps and microservice. So all this stuff is very interesting to me because of that. What we're doing is a crazy amount of work. And we're using AI as far as we can as well to help automate a lot of that.
Yeah, you should get a good boost from AI with that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody. This has been a pleasure. And if you have any questions or want to follow up, just feel free to reach out. Yeah, love to talk to anybody. I'm actively talking with businesses now to help me finish this up and give me ideas of what workflows to automate. So thanks.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Guy.
Yeah,
Thank
plus.
you.
This is awesome.
That was really great.
Awesome stuff. Yeah. Thank you.
We do have like 10 minutes left or so. Dave, you wanted to announce this Utah's prompt pivot pitch, some kind of event that you messaged about.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
bet.
gonna, I'm not gonna read everything off of your email. So maybe you just introduce what it is and someone gets interested.
Quite all right. I'll send into the chat the links to it. So prompt pivot pitch is a format that we've done in the past where last time we did it was in the machine learning, when machine learning was an emerging technology. We basically solicit 3 groups: any business with a business problem they want solved for free, in this case, anyone who builds AI that wants to participate and solve that problem, get exposure to businesses, real world examples, real problems to solve, and then mentors, sponsors, and people that just want to participate and see how it all fits together. Goes in 3 parts. A week from today, we're building teams. There's a meeting in July where we'll go through and review progress and help people move it along. And then in August, we'll let the teams pitch and get judged, and there'll be a winner. And people really enjoy the format, and there's literally something for everyone. That's what I like most about this format is if you don't know AI, but you just have, somebody who's in business that needs a problem solved, you'll get engineers on it. Just check out the links, see who it fits for. Love to see everybody there. If we have problems that don't make the list because we don't have enough engineers, I'll talk about sending them your way. This is really the opportunity to build community across not just the engineers, but the businesses. This is how we solve this really noisy, really chaotic phase we're in with AI, is people getting to see it firsthand.
Excellent. Sounds like the startup weekend challenges we used to do.
Yeah, it kind of has that feel. And there's an AI agent that you can use from the site to formulate your problem. So you can actually go through and use an agent built specifically to help a business build out all the context and background of the problem they're trying to solve. So you get to see everything real time. And it's all free. Free to you, we'll put it that way.
Free lunch, guys. It's good stuff.
And free dance lessons. We're actually hosting it at a dance studio, so you're not forced to participate. For anyone who might literally break a leg, like say myself, but it's being hosted at a dance studio, so there's a nice twist to it as well.
What kind of dance?
I don't know. I think it's all types. What they'll actually do will probably depend on how many people show up and what will work with the size of group. Maybe line dancing, just
maybe
saying.
It's an opportunity to tango to something together.
Hey, I've realized recently over the last year that I I've participated in communities, but haven't done really what I think I should in trying to build communities, because with all the noise in AI, something like the things we hear on this call is so much more useful than the 500 million posts that I see and the information that's out there. Seeing things that guys using, for example, so much more valuable than all the noise that's out there, because everyone talks about it, but seeing it actually in practice, that makes all the difference. So trying to be a better community builder as well.
That's an awesome comment, Dave. Thank you. That's cool. Kudos to everyone on this team. Okay, well, with few minutes left, is there anything that anyone's interested to pursue as a group with SIG? We definitely have interesting discussions from time to time. I'm not gonna claim they're 100% interesting, but it's as
Well,
long as
except for today's, it was pretty.
you know how it goes, right? If we have 20% of really good topics, then the rest doesn't matter. And we do have some interesting presenters once a month, every month. But what else? Is there anything else that bothers or you'd like to talk about? It's an open.
So I was going to say, one of the interesting things for me, which I'm working at the moment, is the intersection of AI and agentic AI. So where it's human in the loop versus non-human in the loop intersects with the data governance and classification and privacy. Because in Utah, we have some of the really interesting privacy laws with the GDPR, and how that is evolving and changing is affecting how we can actually implement and manage AI within Utah. And also that's affecting how we are having to handle the data classifications and management of that. So to me, the intersection of those three are coming together to be really holistic in the AI world. It's not just AI anymore. You have to think about the three trifectas there.
And if anyone knows anyone with a connection to NVIDIA's Ising product, it's an AI product that's supposed to help you convert your classic computer algorithms to quantum computer algorithms. I would love to see more details on that.
Okay. That's interesting topic.
Thumbs up to both of those.
Yeah.
I think those are really
I'm hoping that no taker captured all this, because I was like listening, mesmerized, and didn't get to type up any of that. The connections with NVIDIA's Isaac, I did capture that. What was the previous one, Trevor?
It's the intersection of AI and specifically agentic AI or agents with data privacy and data governance through classification. So AI is basically bad in, bad out. So if you don't have the right data, you're not first of all managing the data, then the AI can go off the rails very quickly. Especially if you don't have this human in the loop, especially where you've got chain agents or agentic AI, that's where it can start to really cause issues.
That is a hot topic, because definition of good data for AI is pretty pretty subjective.
Thus, I think it would be a good topic to get those different perspectives.
So am I hearing you correctly that the group would be interested more into technicalities of AI along with just discussing the AI as in general, like ethics being one of the topics, governance, et cetera. But looks like we're tapping into like data privacy, data classification, and things like that. Is that
I think
understanding?
Also, to me, one of the reasons I came here was to start looking across different topics within AI. Of course, the technology of AI itself is interesting, but it's also, in training. So how do we educate the knowledge workers to be able to use AI effectively? What is that? Because you can do generic training, but then you need to do specific, especially with workflow automation. It starts to become very important to train people effectively in AI. So that's another topic area. Another one is in my world, and I imagine in several of your worlds, especially if you're dealing with restricted or confidential HIPAA or PII, PCI, stuff like this. How do you manage that data effectively within the current models? And do you trust the big providers when they say, yeah, it's not going to be shared? And I've been looking at some of the smaller companies like i4Ops, which offers a local RAG environment, which seems very effective at the moment, or Core AI for the training. So I'm starting to try and find out some of the smaller companies which can do this type of work far more effectively than the big, the big elephants in the room, so to speak. And I'd love to hear comments back from other people in these areas. That's the reason I've come to this group, is to really understand where I can leverage other solutions than the big players or
So
other
you're thinking,
techniques.
are you thinking things like I think we've talked a little bit about running on a Mac Mini, a local model that can handle 2 million tokens, that kind of thing. What are the options when data privacy is paramount, that kind of thing?
Yeah, or even going beyond that, local SaaS company or local VM companies which will offer a VM which sits within your environment. So it's basically you're outsourcing your VM world to them, and they run dedicated AI bases contained within your own security model. And
Okay.
so there's one which I've been talking to a very interesting guy recently called i4Op, local Utah company. I was on a panel with the AI collection a couple of weeks ago. I was talking around this subject, and it was he came up, and it was a really interesting presentation. So just things like this, where we can go down different routes and see different options.
That made me think, like yesterday, I attended Women Tech Council's Technology Summit, and the very last panel included quite a few Utah business executives, like Science Bank, CISO, one of them, and a couple others I don't recall now. But the discussion was exactly around that topic. How do we do this? How do we do that? So I was thinking maybe we can, I have those contacts through the Women's Tech Council organizers. Maybe we can reach out, and they're actually doing things with AI, with agentic AI in that area. Maybe we can have them, if not demo, but at least talk to the group and see what they have to share. Would that be beneficial?
I think so.
I think so,
Yep.
because those were the CIOs, right? I was at that summit too, but it was you're talking about the panel with the CIOs from the various companies.
The very last one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
So
I
there's
found it a very interesting discussion, at least closest to the top.
yeah, they're
And
solving the
right.
same problems we're trying to solve. I think if you can grab any of those, they were great speakers.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I mean, something interesting from NVIDIA has been, the new Spark releases, and thinking about just going back to the subject of kind of local AI model running, and I've been exploring some ideas of like cooperative local small model interoperability and working together kind of as small project teams that I think maybe that could be something for offloading, locally running AI data center stuff. And I'd be very interested to explore any type of those needs that need to be addressed, and also strategies that Trevor was mentioning, and Dave.
Yeah, I've been running a local Spark machine just for the last couple of months, and it's limited power if you just buy one of the little Sparks, but it's not too bad. It actually does some good jobs, but it doesn't have enough bandwidth for the use cases I have with the sheriff and with the health department.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm having to look at local VM.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we ran out of time. I see people dropping off. So I want to thank you, everyone, for participating. Guy, thank you for the great demo.
My pleasure.
And Anthony, if you can send us the transcript of the notes, that would be awesome.
Right,
So
will do.
we can fish out, so we can AI anything useful out of it.
That's not going to work, right?
Well, depends. Not always. But thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Meeting you
Thanks.
on the 19th. Later.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Right, good weekend.